Okay, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is Dr. Robinson again, and we're going to continue our studies. This time we're talking about simplifying radicals. So let's get a full screen, and let's get started on the steps. So the steps are, step one, find, if possible, two factors of the radicand, one which is the largest perfect square factor. And I'll show you a list of perfect squares. Step 2, express the square root of the product of the square roots of the factors. Step 3, find the square root of the factor that is a perfect square. Okay, here's our list of perfect squares from 1 to 30. Remember, 1 to the second power, or 1 squared is 1, 2 to the second power is 4, so on and so on, 3 to the second, 9. So these numbers that are equal to the number squared are called perfect squares. So the numbers out here, 1 all the way down to 900. So those are perfect squares. Remember, it's times itself, or you can take the square root of that number to get the original number or side of a square. So now that we have that, let's talk about simplifying a radical. So we have the square root of 20. We want to simplify that. So we need to find what number from our perfect square list can we divide into that. So we're looking for the largest perfect square. Well, 20 can be divided by, it looks like, by 4. So that would be the largest number out of our perfect square list that can go into that. So if you look, 25 is too big, 16 is too big, 9 doesn't go either, 4 goes into it. So that's why I'm going to use 4 as the number I'm going to use for my perfect square. So let's get my pen and make my factor tree, put 4, and it's going to be multiplied by 5. Now let's put a square root symbol around this and this, because 20 came from 4 times 5. So those are the factors. Now 4 is a perfect square, so I'm going to take the square root of 4. The square root of 4 is 2. That's going to be multiplied by the square root of 5. Now, square root of 5 is not a perfect square, so since it's not, I'll have to just rewrite it. So my answer is going to be 2 square root of 5. So that's our answer. So let's pull this up a little bit. 2 square root of 5. So let's try that one more time, see if you got it. So again, we're going to take our number and factor it. Look for what's the biggest number that can go into 54. So let's go back to our list again. So 54, and it's good if you know your multiplication tables. So let's see, 54. Oh, it can't be 64 because that's too big. 49 doesn't go. 36 doesn't go. 25 doesn't go. 16 doesn't go. 9 times 6 is 54. So I'm going to use 9. So 9 times 6. And I'm going to take a square root sign and draw it around each one of these. The square root of 9 is 3. Now remember, the square root of 6 is a non-perfect square, so it does not have a perfect square answer. So we're just going to rewrite it, and we'll write it together. 3 times the square root of 6, which is our answer. So notice we write without the multiplication decimal next to it, because we don't need it, because when you have a number outside, it means multiply. So there is our second answer. So I hope you got that right. And let's pull this up. And there's our second answer, 3 radical 6. So there's one more over there for you, 98. You can try that in your spare time. So check your understanding. If you got it so far, great. But if you're not sure, turn the video back, rewatch the steps, check out the perfect square tables, and write down your questions and bring them in tomorrow, and we'll play with them and see if we can help you out. All right, I want to try this one because we have mentioned before about a number outside of the radical sign, and if you remember, that means we're supposed to be multiplying the number by the radical. So that would be 3 times radical 8. So let me break down radical 8, and what comes to mind is 4 times 2 equals 8, and I know automatically the square root of 4 is a perfect square, but the square root of 2 is not. So the square root of 4 is what I have. Now remember, square root of 4 is a perfect factor, perfect square, so that's going to come to give you 2. Square root of 2 is not, so I'm going to be multiplying that by square root of 2. So that's what the square root of 8 is equal to. Now if you remember, I have a 3 over here that I'm multiplying by, so by the square root of 8, and 4 times 2 gave us 8. So I'm going to bring this down here. So I have a 3 times 2 times the square root of 2. Sorry. So 3 times 2 gives us 6, and I'm going to be multiplying that by the square root of 2. So my answer is going to be 6 square root of 2. Nice. So that one required a little more work because we had an extra 3 out on the outside that we had to multiply by. So let's see what we got down here. So let's see. It comes up pretty good. I'll put it over here so you can see what we did. So we broke down the 8, 4 times the 2, square root of 4 was 2. And remember we have that 3, we bring that down, square root of 2 we bring down. So we have 3 times 2 on the outside, 3 times 2 is 6, and bring down the square root of 2, and that's the answer, 6 square root of 2. So that was a good question. Here's a quiz I plan on giving, so try it, see if you get 100. Here's some other examples. Here's an interesting one right here. Has an X in there, so I wonder what you think that could be. So remember there's an 8 out here, and 9. So let's take a look at that one. So let's take a minute. So I'm going to break this down to 2 parts. 9 is being multiplied by x. So I'm allowed to split that up and put a square root sign. Remember I have 8 being out here, so let me bring that down too because it's being multiplied by the square root of 9 times the square root of x. The square root of 9 is a perfect square. That's good. So that'll save us a little energy. Square root of 9 is 3. And we're going to multiply that by what's left, 8 times the square root of 9, we got 3. And we're multiplying that by the square root of x. So let's bring that down. So it stayed in there because x, we don't know what it is, so we can't take the square root of x yet. So hopefully we'll get to that when we can take the square root of x, or x squared really, but that secret I'll tell you later. So 8 times 3 is 24 times the square root of x. So there is our answer. That looks funny. That's an algebraic square root. So doing a little bit of variable notation there. So let's pull up this, and there it is. 24 square root of x. Good question. Here's an interesting one. We got a fraction times the square root of 63. So find out what the square root of 63, and you multiply your fraction times that. So that's a good question. So here's some more with fractions times the square root of those values, so you can practice those. So check your understanding, see if you understand it so far. If you do, great, but if you're not certain, write down your questions, rewatch the video, bring your questions in tomorrow. I'll be glad to help you out. Here's a challenging question. Simplify square root of 9 x squared y 6. Now we got some exponents here that are greater than 1. I saw that one where we just had an x. And Here's a hint to help us out. Use expanded notation with the square root. That's a very good question. So I hope you'll have the answer tomorrow, and we're going to discuss it tomorrow in class. So that was a great lesson on simplifying square roots. So this is Dr. Robinson, hoping that you had a good time with this video. I hope you got something out of it. So bring your questions. I'll be glad to help you out in class. Bye-bye.